Welcome to another Between the Lanes how-to video. I'm Ron Hirschman, and today we're going to talk about body armor, body reinforcement, and a few other tips and tricks when it comes to getting your bodies race ready for that next slot car race. You might ask, what's body armor? Body armor is clear Lexan with a double stick tape added to it. And I prefer to use the 3M. As you can see, the part number 467 NP with the 200 MP adhesive. Another double stick tape you can use, I get this at Lowe's, Home Depot, any kind of home improvement store. This is a Frost King product. This is basically made for doing plastic windows and things like that in the wintertime. Insulation, but you can pick this up real easy. I'm saying $2 to $4 a roll, and it'll do quite a few bodies. My downfall with it is just a thin width. I like to use the wider width 3M when I make my body armor. So this is what it'll look like. You have clear on one side, and then you've got your double stick tape on the other side, and this paper liner which peels off. And I use an X-Acto, and then you get to the sticky stuff, which this is really good, super sticky. Frost King super sticky too. It'll stick to the bodies real good. Most importantly, when it comes to reinforcing bodies, is you need to do it when your body's new, right after you mount it. You don't want to try and do it on a dirty body. If you want to do a dirty body, you got to clean it real well, and you can use some lighter fluid on a paper towel or a rag, and just make sure you get all the grease and oil and dirt off, and then this will stick to it real well. So after you've painted your body, trimmed your body, mounted your body, it's time to do the reinforcing of the body. So this is a 4.5-inch stock car body, and the problem you have with a body that's not reinforced is they get weak in the rear section of the car. Now you can notice when I push down, and I'm barely pushing down, how this puckers out the side, and that's very little pressure. So if you tap the wall, that gets pulled down into the tire. The tire then, what we call, sucks it in, or we call it sucking a body, and it gets into the tires, into the gears. And once that happens, you're not going to have a very good day. Once your body's all chewed up and ratted up in the back, it's pretty much useless. So anything you can do to prevent that from happening beforehand, you're going to be ahead at the end of the day. So we've got our body mounted. And if you noticed, we haven't cut out the wheel wells yet, and that's going to be our next step. So people say, well, how do you cut your wheel wells out so nice and neat? Well, this is a circle template that you can buy at Staples, Office Max, Office Depot, any type of office store. I've even seen these at Walmart, like back in a drafting section, maybe an art department section. But as you can see, it has a zillion different diameters. So what we do with that is I turn the body on its side, and I rest it up against my two blocks here. You're going to have a Sharpie, and a fine tip Sharpie at that. So what you need to do is, most bodies that I mount, if I use tires that are 750 or larger, I will use the 1-inch diameter circle, and they're all marked. Like, here's an inch and 125, here's an inch and a quarter, but I use an inch. And you probably can't see this on camera as well as I can, but I can see where there's lines here and here and here and here. It's almost like the crosshairs of a rifle scope. So you line those lines here up with the center of your axle. line these up with the center axle. Then you just trace around. And I got a feeling my Sharpie's not going to maybe make a... But I think you can see it's kind of light. Now I'm going to do the front, but I'm going to do the front with the wide tip, which is going to be too wide for me because I don't like it. Use the same diameter on the front for this 4.5 incher because it's got 810 tires on it. So you get the idea of what we're doing here. We're making just a half moon basically. And the next step is, after you've done all 4 of your wheel wells on both sides, is then we pull the body pins out. And before I go any further, I take the wide tip and I mark the holes that are there. I mean, you just set it right on there and it'll just fall right in the hole that you've got. And of course we didn't do this side, but again we'll do this. So when you're done, you should have a body that looks something like that. And these are going to come in handier later, as you'll see. So we've got that. Here's another body that was done with the fine tip earlier, where it came through really nice. Okay, so once we've got that done, our next step is, this is another body. I'm just doing this in steps. But you can see we've got our wheel wells and we've got our pinholes marked. Now, don't mind this side, it's already done, but it's just part of it. So we're going to go inside the body here in the back and see if what we want to do is we want to reinforce this area. And I don't think I'm going to get a good enough angle on this for you to see it, but we'll try moving things around. All right, so I've got my body armor, and just to kind of show you what we're going to do here is we're going to put that up inside there like so. And if you notice when I flip it over, I'm also going to use this reinforcement, this body armor, as part of my rear pin tube reinforcement. And there's a few reasons for that, and I'll explain it as we go along. So I've got this pre-cut to fit the angle. So we're going to peel this off. Like so. And we're going to come in here, and this is easier done than trying to do it on a video. Push it up in there. Press it real hard everywhere. And that's what we've got. And if we flip it over, you can see it goes clear up to the back corner, clear up along the body line. Then I'll trim off the excess. And now we're nice and even with flush with the bottom of the body. Now, and this may be upside down on your video, but you're going to get the idea here because it's camera's going one direction and I got to kind of turn the body and stuff. So I'm going to cut the wheel well out, and we're just going to go right along, or right on the outside edge of my line. Okay, there's the other rear wheel well cut out. Now we'll do the front. And the front one is usually a little harder to do because you don't have as much area between the top of the fender and the opening of the wheel well. So you just got to kind of go easy and slow, and I probably make this look fast, but I do this a lot. So there we go. Both wheel wells have been cut out. Our pinholes are marked. What we want to do now is we want to take a straight pin and just go ahead and poke that hole right there through that body armor we added. We don't have anything up here yet, so that's where we're at on that. So now we're going to tape this body up. So before we do that, I always use 3M 898 strapping tape, or otherwise known as filament tape, because it's got the filaments in it. There's a lot of tapes out there. Don't go for the cheap stuff. If it doesn't have all that fiberglass reinforcement in it like you see, you probably don't want it, because it's going to be wider spaced apart, and that tape doesn't have the strength to keep the pinholes from being tore or ripped out. And if you notice, the filament goes in one direction. It goes this way. I don't know if I guess that's horizontal probably. So there's other tapes out there that come from the UK or Europe. They have a crisscross filament, but they have big gaps in between those filaments. That's good tape, but you can make better tape with the 898. As I said, we have and I don't know how well you'll see this, but we've got the filaments running this way on this piece, and this piece shows the filaments running up and down. So what we do is, when we do this body, we're going to double tape it, and we're going to make our own crisscross or red cross type pattern where that is very micro and very tight, and it'll be very strong. So what we do here is we take this back hole. The back hole, we don't really use that wide of a piece of tape. We're going to put that on like so. And we're going to go ahead and do our front one while we're at it. Okay, and then we're going to come in, trim off, because we're only going to do one layer on the outside. Our second layer is going to be wider, and it's going to cover this like this, and then we're going to fold it over the bottom of the body like so. Okay, so we got our crisscross. Plus, once we've done that, we've actually covered the pinhole. Plus, we've got this overlay of tape. This part here is on the body armor. This is on the body. So that's locked that to keep that from shifting or moving in a race in case it would get loose, oil or dirt gets up. Depends on how many times you run your body. If you run a body a lot of races with body armor, oil and stuff gets up in there and starts to weaken that adhesive, and it's going to start falling apart. So we do the front. Fold it over. Again, crisscross. Now here's the other side of the body, and I already pre-did it, but I don't know if this is going to focus in enough to where you can really see a good there you go. Maybe you can see, yeah, there you go. Got the filaments running both directions. So, what were the black holes for? Well, the black holes are so you can come in here and just poke right on through. And it's just easier to see those black holes than it is no holes. And most times the pin head will just, the pointy part of the pin will just find the hole that was already there. It doesn't take much pressure, and you'll feel it kind of fall into it. You just push her on through. And put all 4 of our pins in here. These were already pre-poked. So there's our body ready to put back on the car. Now, I already have another body that's already done that way. So, we're on the car. Now, when we push back on this body, on the back of it, look for pucker. Very little pucker, if any. I mean, you're going to have some, but I mean, I'll push on this pretty hard, and you're not even getting close to the wheel wells, the tires. So now, if you noticed, pretty big opening around those tires. It's better to have a big opening than a real tight, close opening. So I see a lot of guys run those really, really tight. Like I said, I used 1 inch, which is this here. I mean, I've seen guys come into these and run this close, and that's not very good. You're just asking for trouble. So the bigger the wheel well openings are, the less chance you have of that getting there, getting into the tire. Same with the front, because you want to have, and I don't know if I'll be able to really show this, so I'll try doing it this way. You want your body to have good side flex. Side flex is the side-to-side movement. So when you move your body from side to side, you don't want, especially on like a stock car, anything with front wheels, you don't want the front of that body to hang up, touch, or hit those front wheels. Because what they do, and they're rubbing that, because that body will be on the track moving like that, you won't be able to see it. I mean, cars go so fast, but believe me, that body's moving around on there. So that's why you want bigger wheel openings in the front and the rear. Okay, so that's kind of reinforcing your body with front wheel wells being cut out and a stock car type body. 4-inch stock car bodies like your COT bodies and your 4-inch bodies, which I don't have one here to show you, but basically the same thing, except for the 4-inch bodies, you don't cut the front wheel wells out. They're usually just body painted with a wheel dot on there, or maybe they're left clear. You don't have to worry about those really hitting the front wheels. But same principle, same thing I showed you here, do to your 4-inch stock cars, and you'll end that problem of getting the bodies in the tires. So another way to reinforce your body, and especially like these type bodies, you can go buy a product called E6000, or you can buy shoe goo. And usually they have both these items at Walmart in a checkout lane. Any kind of arts or craft store, you'll find this stuff. Shoe goo is thicker than E6000. E6000 is a lot thinner. When you use this stuff, use it in a well-ventilated area. It's not a pleasant smell, and it's one that'll make you dizzy and maybe make you see things you haven't seen in a while if you use it. But you can just I'm not gonna use this on this body, but you would just put it on your fingertip, or maybe put a little bead up in here, spread it around through there. both sides. You can put it on your front end if you want. You leave it dry, and it's a flexible type. It's almost like a rubber that'll keep the body from splitting and cracking. Now, another thing you can do with body armor, on any type of body, if you want to reinforce the nose of your body, maybe a GTP body where it's above the guide nut, you want to put a little piece in there, more like if you put a piece like that in there. It's really hard to do like a front bumper type deal because it's really hard to get the Lexan with the tape and everything to really form or mold, follow the curves of the body's already there. So I don't really recommend that. Some people will put strapping tape in there, maybe clear shipping tape, but I usually don't reinforce the noses of my bodies. They're kind of one race or two race bodies, and then they go in the trash can. But that's what you can use E6000 for, our shoe goo. Now, what we see a lot of is GTP bodies, GTP and LMP bodies, kind of the same deal with the bodies. Now, this is a body that's no reinforcement. It's just been mounted on the car. Whoop. It's mounted on the car. I've got my rear wheel wells marked out. If I barely push, you can just see that pucker coming out the side. You could not, oh, you can, but I don't suggest racing soft bodies like that. They're going to just be all over the car, side to side, too much side flex. Plus you get this, turn marshal hits it in a race. I mean, you can see it puckering up here, puckering out the side, hits the top of the tire, gets sucked right in there. So what you're looking for when you're done and you're reinforced, now this body's been completed. See, I'm pushing on that harder than I was the other one. I mean, I can lift the front of the car up and you don't see much, if any, pucker out the side. Yeah, I mean, sure, you get a little bit, but it's not going to get down in those tires. So you can do your body armor in different thicknesses. And just to show you different thickness here, body armor comes usually in 5, 7, or 10 thousandths thickness. And you can use the various thicknesses to do two things: save weight and tune your body. So when I use 5 thousandths reinforcement versus 10 thousandths on my other bodies, I call the bodies with 5 thousandths soft bodies. And the reason they're soft is you can see they are, I mean, you can see that body really puckering out really easy. But it's still stronger than none at all. So it's lighter. Like these two bodies, for example. This one's a 5 thousandths reinforcement in the back. This one's 10. This body, you can just, I mean, it just lifts the front end up super easy. Barely any pressure to do that. This one, kind of the same way, but you can see, and maybe you can't, maybe I need to move this up a little bit, but you can see the back down here wanting to pucker out, where this, you don't see it. Now, thinner has more side flex than thicker. And it's really hard to show or hard to describe, but it's something you can feel. I mean, you can definitely feel it, especially if you squeeze on it too. I mean, this versus that. And I don't know if you can really see with my hands in the way or fingers, but it makes a big difference. You can notice two bodies with two different reinforcements in the back reacting and handling different. Some days soft bodies are better than stiffer bodies, but it all comes down to testing and building and going to the track and running laps and flip-flopping the bodies and seeing which one works better on that given day. I normally run 10 thousandths in the rear of all my cars. But I usually carry one body that's made with 5. Have one ready to go to test it. If it works, I race it. If it doesn't, it goes back in the box. It goes to the next race. And then when I do use it, then I replace it. But if I've got 9 cars in my box, they're all going to have the stiffer 10 thousandths reinforcement. And there's going to be one body that'll fit all 9 cars that's going to be soft. So I can try that. Now, thicker is heavier, thinner is lighter. These two bodies with the light, thinner reinforcement is 0.6 of a gram lighter than the stiffer. Weight's a good thing to save, but a little bit heavier is a little bit stronger and a little bit less flexible. It may give you the bite you need, where this may still wobble around enough to where you don't have enough bite. So again, it's testing, trying, playing, and find out what works for you on your track on any given day. Now, another thing, stock car bodies, usually, in the back, you have to run the back. You have to run a 1/4 inch rear bumper, 1/4 inch front bumper. GTP bodies, LMP bodies, you can cut the backs out. Now, the question is to leave a lip in there or not. I always leave a lip in. The farther down you go, the more weight you're carrying around and the more of a parachute effect you've got on the body, where you're dragging that down the straightaway and you're not letting air get out from underneath the car. So, yeah, this could be thinner, but it's going to get weaker. And it's something you can play with. Take an old body that you've got some in and cut it right up to that mold line at the top. And then push down on it. And you'll see it probably do that. Where this doesn't really do that, because that keeps it from doing that. Okay? So that's why you see guys running that in there. Keeps the back of the body more stiffer, so when the air gets in there, it doesn't want to collapse. Now, wing car body's a different story. Wing car guys will cut them clear up because they want their bodies to collapse, but we're not talking wing car bodies today. So there you go. Just a few tips and tricks. Hope you enjoyed the video. We've got some videos coming here pretty soon on how to trim a body, how to mount a body. But we jumped ahead here with this reinforcement video because this is something that anybody and everybody should probably be doing to make their bodies hold up longer and make your cars handle better, and that'll make you go faster. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, just make comments on YouTube channel, Slot Racer, or on the Between the Lanes Facebook page. There'll be a link for this. And we'll answer any questions you have on either the show or reply to your messages. And we look forward to seeing you every Wednesday night, 8 o'clock, Between the Lanes on Facebook and YouTube. Enjoy.